let's get into the conversation today. We are talking
Sure.
recruitment. I had a conversation, if you guys didn't see, with our guy Caleb Jones over at Auburn Rivals, the auburnsports.com website that is live on the channel right now, where he goes more in depth into some of the other things with the class, and you can go and check out some of the things that he's got over there on the site. But we're going to focus the conversation today on the quarterback because we know that's what you guys really want to talk about. Juju Lewis is, in case you haven't heard, I don't know how you haven't heard, because literally every show somebody asks me about it or asks on one of the other platforms, and they're talking about it all over social media. If you're an Auburn fan, you know who Juju Lewis is. We're not going to belabor the point, but he is potentially going to be joining the fold at Auburn. He's a current USC commit. He made his visit to Auburn, but there is a very heavy speculation that USC will not be where he lands next fall. So Auburn being one of the suitors for his services, the question is, what kind of impact would that have? If he commits, what kind of impact would it have on the QB room? Don't take my word for the fact that he might not land at USC. When you go and you talk to a lot of the experts that are out there, there are a lot of people who follow Juju Lewis, follow Georgia high school recruiting very closely, that think he could potentially land there. So we got a clip queued up here. Mike, tell them who we're about to listen to.
Yeah. So our guy Rusty Manziel over at Dog HQ, he publishes for On3. He went on to Crane and Co. I talked to my guy Jake Crane about this clip, and he shared his thoughts, Isaac, on where he feels like the end game is for Juju Lewis. So we'll play that clip and then we'll talk
about Juju Lewis. So I believe he's number 2 overall quarterback in the 2025 class. Maybe flipping somewhere else or wavering on his commitment. Where do you stand? I'm not asking for a prediction right now, but how confident are you that by the time it gets time to decide, Juju Lewis is going to stick with where he's going?
Well, I learn lessons all the time. And I made the comment in a Georgia football forum in the Dogs HQ, a site that I own. I made the comment in a private forum. I wasn't hiding it, but this was for our message, guys.
Yeah.
I said, I think Juju Lewis is going to end up at Auburn. And I said, in the end, I think he is. If I had to bet, now I'm not 100% saying it's going to happen, but if you're asking me who the biggest threat is, I think it's Auburn. I think he's had a couple of great visits there. I know he's extremely close with his family. He's already in Carrollton, which is not far from Auburn. And I just think this, and the USC fans took that and ran with it, and boy, they took some shots. I mean, I'm old enough to be
Oh, you know, Rusty, you're going to piss somebody off by saying something.
And how I combat that is, you know what? I got a damn job because people care.
That's exactly right.
But I stand by that. I think Auburn is a serious threat to land him. I think Auburn's got a shot at Jaden Perlate. Georgia committed linebacker. He was to Tennessee last weekend. I know some rumblings there. Auburn, it was a matter of time before Hugh Freeze got the wagon circled up, so to speak, down at Auburn. That's a big boy damn program, and they're going to go in some battles. They're going to win some battles. But I do think right now, as of 619, you want to talk about a serious threat. I think Auburn's a serious threat to end up with Juju Lewis in their.
I want to thank show sponsor Manscaped. Guys, Smooth Sack Summer is here. Smooth Sack Summer is here. And you want to be smooth this summer. So when you're playing in the summer sun, make sure you're groomed from pubes to bum. Thanks to our friends at Manscaped, you can make this season your smoothest yet. The Performance Package 5.0 Ultra is the ultimate bundle to keep your boys downstairs cool while looking hot. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer to get 20% off plus free shipping when you go to manscaped.com and use code RAPPORT. Again, code RAPPORT for 20% off plus free shipping.
So Auburn, a serious threat to land Juju Lewis. He is, depending upon what site you look at, number 1 or number 2 quarterback in the class. Joining us live now as well. C-Dub hopping in here. Appreciate you coming in here on a Wednesday night with us, my guy. What do we think about all of this? Juju Lewis landing with Auburn. First, we'll start here. Again, I'm not going to be the guy to answer this question because I don't follow this. How much do you think that this actually happens? Like, is this like there? It's not just on 3. Again, I talked to Caleb today at Rivals. They're ruminating around the same thing over there. The folks at USC feel like, stop putting this bad juju out there in the atmosphere.
Let's see what you did there. Let's see what you did there.
And trying to talk our guy away from our program. But
feel that.
literally everywhere else is like, hey guys, just it's over. It's over. So how do you guys feel about the prospects there? Juju Lewis landing somewhere besides USC, whether he lands at Auburn or not. What are you feeling about it?
Listen to me clearly on this. So first of all, again, big shout to our guys over at Crane & Co. Via the Daily Wire for providing us with that clip for tonight's discussion. Appreciate Jake Crane. Look, the noise around this is pretty consistent with the work that Hugh Freeze has put into high school recruiting. Now, if you ask SEC Mike, there's no point in even recruiting him. Just go to the portal and find a QB because
that's true. SEC Mike would be very against
okay,
going and
he's
getting
very
Juju
upset about
Lewis
this
as your
right
next
now.
quarterback. He would say go to the portal.
Go
Yes.
to the portal. But Juju's not going to be in the portal, man. He's in high school right now, and
he'll be eventually, according to SEC Mike. Like, go get him.
Go get him once
a
he gets
year
to the
or
portal,
two later from the portal, but don't go get him fresh out of high school.
I think that, guys, I think that this is the type of generational prospect that you need to recruit consistently at quarterback if Auburn is going to build a playoff contender year in and year out. You got to have that guy from high school at least some of the time. And it just hasn't happened a whole lot, no matter who the coach has been. It's been difficult. So if you get him, this is why the work that they did in recruiting last year with Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson and Bryce Kane and Malcolm Simmons and those guys, super important to the recruitment of Juju Lewis. Because you're telling this kid, I've got you set up. These guys are going to be ready to roll once you get here. And because you'll have the pieces around you, I'll feel more confident to start you as a freshman, which ultimately puts you a little closer to where you want to be 2 or 3 years from now if you can get Juju the experience now. But I think if he comes here, they find a way to get him on the field immediately. I think you tell him that. I think you show, and then this year you show off all the pieces that he's going to be throwing to. Get through this year however you can. Be on the right side of 500 as far as record is concerned. And make sure that you feature the big-time pass catchers that you recruited. And if this thing, I don't know when he's due to announce. I asked around. I couldn't get a real solid on when he's due to announce.
Well, he's already announced a commitment, right?
So he's correct. Yeah,
I think the idea is that before his season starts, his senior year season starts, he will have reaffirmed his commitment either to USC or
reopened his recruitment.
Right.
Yeah. So if this thing actually stretches into the season and he does not reaffirm his commitment to USC, then I think you got a real good shot. I think the longer this drags out, the worse it is for USC.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a foregone conclusion that he's not going to be at USC. But C, jump in here. What are your thoughts about the whole Juju Lewis smoke here? Is he first of all not going to land at USC? Thoughts there, but then prospects for Auburn being a real player here.
You know, all signs point to him not remaining committed to USC, even though USC kind of sells itself with the head coach they have there, considering who he's put in the league, guys who've won Heisman trophies. That's a tough guy to fight for this recruit with. I mean, we have to be honest here. But there's a lot of things that Auburn has going for it, right? This guy he can come in and compete for a job. Mike says that they're going to try to put him on the field as soon as possible, which is not a bad idea. It's not like we stacked at the QB room. Also, Auburn, as you heard in the clip, Carrollton, Georgia is in Auburn's backyard. Family gets to come see this kid play on Saturdays. There's a lot going on for Auburn there. You get to stay in the SEC, the best conference in college football, going against some of the best teams in college football. There's a lot to like about where Auburn sits with this kid's recruitment. And we have seen over the past year, since Hugh Freeze has been at Auburn, how he has made Auburn a legitimate threat to some of the best schools in the country that recruit at a high level. This kid has the opportunity to change the identity of Auburn's offense moving forward. We've always have had talented QBs. I mean, you think about guys like Jason Campbell. Obviously, Cam Newton comes to mind. But you have Jarrett Stidham is the last QB Auburn brought in that, I mean, truly was a threat with his arm. Obviously, he was here under Gus. Gus did the best he could with Jarrett Stidham, given some of the issues on the offensive line. But this is an opportunity under a head coach who has said or is known for working with QBs, turning teams around, having high-powered offenses. This is a first kid who can come into Auburn who really is a true threat with his arm, with this offensive system. And if you bring him in here with Hugh Freeze, who with the receivers we have, Auburn could be a serious threat for teams moving forward.
Yeah, I know you want to jump in here, Mike. Hold on. Let me, because I want to jump into something that both of you have already brought up. First and foremost, the situation at USC. Yes, Lincoln Riley, great QB developer, all of those things. The problem is he's already got a guy that can be the starter going into next season. Juju Lewis isn't guaranteed that spot, right? And so that's really, it's not so much, it's more so how soon do you want to play? And that's why Colorado becomes a big player here, because Shadur's gone. He needs an heir apparent there in Colorado as well. But you both brought this up about the potential for Juju Lewis to be a starter next season out the gate. How likely is that, and how successful could Juju Lewis be as a true freshman starter in the SEC? I know, Mike, you wanted to pivot to something else, so I'll let you start and then come back and answer that question. But that's where I want to go next with this.
Oh, well, no, it's along the same lines, right? Like at the end of the day, Lincoln Riley is running from the smoke. He's running from it. He don't want no part of the SEC. He just canceled his series with Ole Miss. 2025, 2026. He looked at Lane and said, "No, thank you." So if you're Juju,
they're in the Big Ten now, so maybe he got to get acclimated or something.
Maybe I don't know, man. But you come to Auburn, and if you're Juju, you come
Michigan.
to Auburn.
I won't play Ole Miss.
Right? You come to Auburn. Look, the question of whether to be a starter. Look, Lincoln Riley has a great track record with producing Heisman QBs. We'll see how that holds up when you can't throw for 4,000 yards on Big Ten defenses. Yeah, like, let's be real. Like, the pack died for a reason, guys. It was fake news on offense. It was. And, any of those, I'm not saying they don't produce good quarterbacks. I'm just saying I got question marks around every guy coming out of that system, because it felt like, your third stringer could start for half the schools in the Pac-10 and throw for 3,000 yards. You come to Auburn here and you take a look about what's around you. I think Auburn has a chance next year to have a pretty good, young but experienced offensive line, right? You bring in some talent from high school, right? You bring in some talent from high school, so you could have a good mix of, like, your Connor Lews and a few talented guys. And Juju Lewis, if you're just selling what's around him, you're selling what's around him. You're saying, look, I've got all-star wide receivers for you to throw to. I've got great tight ends. I've got young but talented pass catchers in the backfield. All the pieces
O-line is only getting better.
We just need you. Yeah, we just need you. So if you're Juju, I got guys you can just throw the ball up to, and they're going to make you look good. Cam is going to go get it for you. So your margin for error, if you're Juju, may be greater at Auburn, albeit, against tougher competition, than it might be at USC. That's how good this wide receiver class was. It was that. Listen, I would bet my last dollar on this wide receiver class being the best to come through Auburn, barring some sort of natural disaster to the Plains. So,
do you want to get on
the starter conversation?
Do you want to get on a plane every other week, flying across the country just to play a game? And do you want to do that too? Do you want to do that?
I'm going to clip this and just post that to social media and tag Juju to it and just see if he responds.
Do you really want to just hop on
USC's solution to that? But look, USC's solution to the family thing that Ike was talking about, they're throwing dollars from an NIL perspective at athletes, saying you have the money to fly your family out every week. This NIL has filled a lot of gaps. Now, it is still a whole event to get on a plane and fly to USC, you know what I mean, do all that stuff if you're a Southeast kid. But if you're Auburn, like, listen, man, the hometown discount is real.
Yes.
A lot of these kids, man, they're not too keen on going all the way across the country to play. If they can play big time college football in their backyard, have their family there to do it, and achieve all their professional goals. There's not a damn thing you could do at USC that you cannot do at Auburn.
Except
There's
be coached by
nothing you
Lincoln
can do
Riley.
at USC. That's right. Like, well, I'm saying, I mean, if we're assuming that the system is not going to hold the kid back, you can win a national title here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you can
win a Heisman.
You can win a Heisman Trophy. You can win a national title. You can win a
Maxwell.
Yeah, you
conference.
don't.
Yeah,
You
can do all of
don't
that, yeah.
have to outscore people every week.
Facts.
Every week.
Yeah,
right?
now that's what you're not
You
gonna have.
don't
is a
have
defense
to
up
do
there. They don't.
Yeah.
I don't know why he don't have defenses, bro. I've never been able to understand it. Like, just throw defense out the window. Forget it.
Yeah, like I said, all you have is a history of producing Heisman Trophy winners in two conferences that largely no longer exist. The Big 12 was still around, but it's not the Big 12 Lincoln Riley was coaching in before.
Truth.
The Pac is long gone, and it's not coming back. R.I.P. We don't want to see that again in college football. The Pac was bad for college football.
Pac was back.
It was terrible, awful brand of defensive football. And then you've got, to me,
it's funny to me though. I'm sorry.
Like a crack is whack.
Yeah.
Crack is a pack is whack. But you've got a great opportunity here. If you're Juju, it just comes down to, do I believe these guys are going to pull it together? That's why, if he doesn't reaffirm his commitment to USC this summer, and it stretches into the season, you watch what Auburn puts on the field. And I mean, he lands Juju, all that hot seat talk. I mean, you get a quarterback like that. I would argue that whatever timeline the powers that be have in their head for Hugh Freeze, if he lands a quarterback like Juju and keeps him for a couple of years, you extend it by a year.
Yes.
I mean, you definitely
you want to see him see it through.
There's two parts to that. You got to get him, and he's got to play well, right? Like, he can't bust out, right?
Sure.
But so and that's the question, though. How likely is it that he's a true freshman starter? You both seem to think that this is a possibility, and plays well as a true freshman, because you're going to be in year 2 of the Freeze 4 experiment. Are they going to want to sit around and deal with freshman growing pains? Like, how likely is it that he comes and plays well? I haven't seen a single bit of his tape. I don't know anything about it, but like, true freshman starters in the SEC have not. There are limited examples of success with that. So how likely is it this guy breaks the mold of that?
I've got an answer to this. 70% that he starts, right? 50-50 that he plays well.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You put the pieces, I'm stressing that you put the pieces in place for this reason specifically. You told the whole world, my wide receivers are awful. And I got to get some new ones. And then you did it. And then you said, I believe Peyton Thorne will be a better quarterback with better pass catchers. Well, okay, yeah. Right? True for most quarterbacks. So if Thorne improves this year, and that pans out for Hugh, you've got an even stronger case for Juju.
Even though he doesn't have the experience?
Make Thorne great again, and you are gonna be you're gonna be in prime position for Juju. Hear me out this one, right? Put it on a hat. If he can make Peyton Thorne great again and get him to 26 to 3,200 yards anywhere in there and north of 20 touchdowns, right? Yeah, and maybe like a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, you're looking phenomenal. But you tell Juju, like, listen, if these guys can do this with Peyton, you a generational guy.
Do you think they're conservative in year 1 with Juju? Kind of like what we saw at times Auburn was conservative with Thorne in year 1. Do you see that type of?
Yeah, that depends on Juju. That depends on Juju.
Is he a mobile guy, right? Like, I don't know. Like, how well does he use his legs? I don't know because like the conservative nature of Peyton Thorne is fine, because Peyton Thorne could use his legs to supplement what he wasn't doing with his arm. Do you have that with Juju Lewis? Or is your offensive line that, you guys talked about. That's a young line that's not going to have a lot of snaps, right? Connor Lew will be fully ready, but you probably only got 1 year of Connor Lew, if we're being honest, with Juju and Connor Lew going together, because he's going to be out of here.
Sure.
The rest of that line, I mean, the kid from Mississippi State that just got there, Percy Lewis, he's going to be out of there after this year. Jeremiah Wright is going to be starting. He's going to be out of there. Dylan Wade going to be out of there, right? So 3 of your 5 starters are gone. And so you're going to have to replace those guys with inexperience. So, yeah, you're going to have a bunch of talent, right? You got some talented old linemen in this class that you're there. You still got some from last, but a lot of inexperience up there in front of him. So, like, I don't know how much you can lean on the run game with that, even though you're going to have talented running backs. So that's going to be a question. Is he going to be able to do that with an inexperienced O-line? And what I don't know what you're going to have from a protection standpoint.
In terms of his mobility, he is definitely a creative quarterback.
Okay.
Like, he's got enough athleticism to create. So I don't think that if they're going after him, I'm assuming that Hugh Freeze, is okay with what he brings to the table from an athleticism standpoint. But, a lot of the scouting and the tape that you see of him, he can make some things happen with his legs when he needs to, but he's primarily an arm talent. He's the guy that will use his legs when necessary, but he's going to be a pass-first dude. It's going to be a pass-first dude. And that's what you want out of him if you're Hugh Freeze. Because you want to have a guy who you can give 400-plus attempts a season. That's what he's done. In today's college football, that's a guy who can run some of the time and effectively, burn you for 10 yards if you leave him alone in a first down, but that's opened up by the fact that he's going to be accurate enough down the field and so much of a threat to his arm that you have to respect every part of his game, and it opens up some holes for him in the run game. I don't think you don't lean on him as a runner the way you did Peyton Thorne, 100-plus attempts a season. I don't see that. But
he can move around in the pocket pretty well. He can move around.
Like I haven't watched this game, so that's a question that I would have.
He can move around in the pocket. Like, I'm not. No one is expecting him to be Nick Marshall, but he can move around. He can.
He's got great pocket presence. Yeah, he's got great pocket presence, and he can extend plays from the pocket.
Yes.
With his footwork.
Yes.
And that's the NFL game.
Yes.
This is why they like Juju Lewis so much. A quarterback that can extend a play from the pocket is one that has a great opportunity to go on and do it at a high level at the next level.
For sure.
So these are exciting times. SEC Mike said that he sees Hugh Freeze on the hot seat. And I think that getting Juju Lewis, first of all, if they get Juju Lewis, they finish with a top 3 class.
Top 5
right
definitely.
now.
Top 5 definitely.
Yeah.
With USC USC imploding, yes. Because again, I think I've heard it said on X that if Juju comes to Auburn, there are a lot of people who will be willing to come with him to Auburn. So
you get 2 or 3
it opens
more
up
really
it opens up
prospects.
the opportunities to get other guys because of him.
Yeah, it right now it's going to be hard for anybody, I think, to overtake Ohio State at that number 1 spot. But you get him, your top 3, and I think if you turn in 7 wins next year, there's no hot seat.
Yeah,
you told the world you needed time.
Stuff is goofy.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
There's no hot seat if you get this kid and you win 7 games. Yeah. Like, I mean, and if you win 7 games and you get this kid, there's no hot seat for Hugh Freeze. I'm going to say that right now because you told the world I need time and I need to be able to recruit, and I'm going to do it from high school. Everybody is clear that doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
So if you agreed to his strategy on how to do it, you have to agree to the timeline that comes along with it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's, by year 3, you should be, by 2025, they should be showing great progress towards, where they want to be. 2025, 2026, by 2026, you're definitely judging Hugh Freeze really harshly on what's on the field. But it's not 2024 that's going to put him on the hot seat if he closes with a top 3 to 5 class.
Yeah, no, like I said, the hot seat talk is goofy, bro. Like I don't even know. Again, I understand how you land in a hot seat after this season. I just feel right now it's not a very high likelihood that that's going to happen.
Well, yeah, it's not a likely scenario. Yeah, it's not a likely scenario because of how he got here to Auburn in the first place. So, you have the support of everybody. It's got to completely implode. I'm talking about 2012 levels of ineptness to land him on a true hot seat. Might be a little warm depending on some things we see. Like if Cam Coleman busts, it's going to be like, we don't love that. But there's still going to be a message there. Well, I told you I didn't have a quarterback, right? Like it's going to be, or if you see a high percentage of these recruits that they brought in this first class hit the portal,
right? Yeah, if the last year's class falls apart and this one coming into 25 starts to unravel towards the end, a la Sunday,
then you have nothing. You've got no on the field results, and you don't even have the recruits that everybody got excited about. Yeah.
Right.
So, but again, all that highly unlikely to me. Auburn has 8 home games this year, guys. You have 8 home games, and you have a chance to. I think they start with 4 straight, 5 straight,
4
straight. Is Arkansas on the road or
5 straight?
Oklahoma is game 5. Yeah, that's right.
5 straight.
Yeah, Oklahoma's game 5. Yeah. So 5 straight home games, and then you go on the road for a month, and then you come back and finish the thing off. Like I see this as a major signal to the rest of the conference that you're going to have to take Auburn seriously in every aspect, because if you're giving him the recruits and he can figure out the system, like he's going to be in that 12-team playoff conversation every year.
Yeah.
The 4-team playoff was a different prospect because it meant you had to be Alabama or Georgia levels of good and a runner-up to be in consideration if you didn't win the SEC. Now you don't need to win it to get in. That's it. The runner-up in the SEC is going to make the playoff every single year. Hear me out. Because we've eliminated divisions. We've eliminated divisions, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've eliminated divisions, the second best team in the SEC is going to be in the playoff every single year. High likelihood that the third best team is going to land up in that playoff as well, too. And a decent chance that the fourth best team in the SEC also makes the playoff. This thing is going to be the SEC Invitational. It's not going to be any different from the past. And, if you're Auburn, that opens up your window of possibilities to redefine what success is in today's era of college football. Now, it still should land. Like, listen, man, people still want SEC championships. They're not going to want SEC championships any less now than they did before. But not winning it is not going to be as big an indictment as it is. Think about if there was a 12-team playoff, the world would see all those failed SEC championship attempts that Georgia had versus Alabama very differently, because they make the playoff in a lot of those scenarios.
Right.
And maybe even have a chance to get some get back.
Right.
So, yeah, great. Hugh Freeze picked a great time to come back to Power 5 play.
Yeah.
He did, because he's a great high school recruiter. He's got the money bags at his side. He's proven in year 1 he can go out and get a top 5 guy in all of high school football. And now he's just got to prove that he can put together a system that utilizes those kids at a high rate. I don't know. He's like I say, he's got 2 of the 3. Like, I have my doubts on the system, because that's what everybody is chasing. Everybody's chasing that championship system. And if everybody had it, everybody would win championships. But we know not everybody has it. Only a few schools have had it. Can Hugh Freeze make Auburn one of those few schools that you can take a kid like Juju Lewis, plug him in, and be in the semis at least every year?
And we'll definitely see. All right, so let's get to the break here. We got a lot. For full episodes, check out the Midweek Report, going live on the War Report's YouTube channel at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time Wednesday nights. Until the next time, War Eagle.